Hello class and welcome to your week 5 module for ECS. One of them. This is going to be the ECS communication plan. So under the monitoring and controlling phases, you're going to see that one of the major documents that needs to be created on a project is called a communication plan. Now there's a couple different variations of what's available. The PEM shows you something that is very much an Excel spreadsheet template that lays out more of I'll call it an analysis or a diagnostic of the current communication effort and then what you might want to add to it. Now, I want to show you another variation which I think is just as valuable in addition to that. So what we want to do is we want to introduce you to a Word template that we've created that's a communication plan. So the first thing I need you to do is come in and as a team, remember you're working on all of this together collaboratively, go ahead and pull up that communication plan, and that's going to be a Word document. Let me go ahead and move this out of the way a little bit here. And you'll see that you've got general information that you've got to put together, which is, who it was prepared by, authored by, project description, a summary of what your project is. In addition to that, then what we need to do is we need to take a list of what we refer to as your major stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders in your project? And they can be internal stakeholders and they can be external stakeholders. So internal stakeholders would be people working inside ECS that you would need to communicate with. And you would want to identify them potentially and their team role and what you think their responsibilities would be. So these might be organizations like procurement. They could be the test team. They could be areas that help you do design work. They could be a variety of different things that are internal to your company that you would need to communicate to. In addition to that, you have customer key stakeholders, and these could be suppliers, vendors. These could be people that actually you're delivering the product to and their sub-tier, I'll call it key stakeholders. So what I need you to do is fill in the name and a potential role, and contact would be contact information. You can create an artificial phone number, you can create an artificial email address, you can come up with some nomenclature that gives us the ability to contact with that person, and you can create fictitious names if you'd like to complete this. So remember, we're trying to get the stakeholders identified, and then we're going to take and go into section 2. Section 2 has project communication. This is where the major deliverables as designed in the scope statement are. Major deliverables would be things that we are delivering realistically to the customer. So that's going to be interpreted by you as to how you want to close the project out, what you think these are. Ultimately, as a worst case scenario, you've always got at least one deliverable, and that's what you sell the project off to. In this situation, you're going to have multiples in your project. You know that because you can see as we gave it to you in the WBS what we had available. The next piece is going to be project communication status updates. And that's going to be, if you look at the project, what kind of documents do you think are going to be communicated to and from different organizations or departments? And these could be emails, these could be design reviews, these could be different types of, I'll call it, areas where there's some level of documentation. So you want to make sure that you've got the document description, what it is, the audience, who's it going to get, expected action, input, output method, frequency, how often are you doing it, and who's the responsible source for providing it. Okay? And then finally we're going to get into the existing system. So we have to make some bare bones assumptions about ECS and what we think their existing communication system is. How do they communicate with each other? Describe that here. And then what I need is an escalation process. What would you anticipate needs to be done if something goes wrong? If the mega driver has a failure, who do you communicate to? How do you communicate to them? Give me an escalation process that your team would like to create for this, and then any miscellaneous communications that are going to happen. And these could be anybody, anywhere. So if there's a miscellaneous communication, you would want to fill that out. Now, Let's go to the grading rubric, and you can see that basically what we've done is we've taken every one of those areas, and every area has points assigned to it. So make sure you go ahead and hand this out to other people so that they understand exactly what they're responsible for. Realistically, you've got 45 points available for this, and it breaks into these areas. So you can see that it's in all the key areas that we talked about. Now, the communication plan also, I want you to go into the PMBOK, and I want you to review that new one that they've just put out in the latest version of the PMBOK. It's a spreadsheet, and we're going to have discussions about that. I want you to tell me if you think that there's more value in a document that's put together this way, or a document that's in that, I'll call it the analysis or the diagnostic type of tool that's available through the PMBOK. Okay, so once again, this is one of the week 5 documents. We've gotten away from Microsoft Project. Now we're working communication plan, risk register, risk matrix, and then we're going to drive ourselves into project closure in Module 6. And you're going to have lessons learned, best practices. You're going to have your final report, your final presentation, and your peer review are going to be in Module 6. But I just wanted you to get a good feel for what we've got for you in Module 5. Congratulations, we're coming down the home stretch. I look forward to hearing if you've got any problems, issues, or concerns, or if there's just something you need a little bit more clarity on in this particular assignment. Feel free to contact me via email. You can contact me through the Zoom meeting that we have on Wednesdays, or email me. Okay? Have a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.